Hi there, this is Chris Coombs, and this is The Truth in Diabetes for a very rainy March 18th, 2011. So, sitting in the park today, just felt like sitting in a park today and sharing with you my thoughts on this post today. Just last week up in Great Falls, Montana, the world's oldest man, I'm going to try and pronounce this right, Walter Bruning passed away. At 114 years old, this man, I think about this man and his history and what a wealth of knowledge this individual must be. But this gentleman, some of his earliest memories are that of his grandfather telling him stories about killing Southerners in the Civil War. That's how far this man's history goes back. And I think, wow, there's a wealth of knowledge that can be shared from this man. I believe it was last October, he sat down and did an interview with an Associated Press reporter and basically shared with this AP reporter his secrets to living a long life. And so anyone that's able to make it to 114 might know a thing or two. So what did this man have to share, and what were the secrets to Walter's longevity for living a long life? Well, I'm going to share these with you today and put a little bit of a diabetes spin on that, because that's what I do at The Truth in Diabetes. But his first thing that he had to say was, embrace change, even when the change slaps you in the face. Every change is good. Think about that. Things change when you're diabetic, you bet they do. Everything from the technology that we have available to us into the fact that your blood sugar can pretty much change from moment to moment depending on what you have to go on with the day. But I mean, think about that. Embrace change. I think about what would life be if the same thing happened day in, day out, over and over again. Everything was predictable. I think life would be rather dull. So again, a man that lives to 114, there's something to be said about that. And I believe he saw a little bit of time, or saw a little bit of change in his time. When you think about it, when this man was hearing stories from her grandfather, there was no radio, there was no television, there was not even electricity at that point in time. So embrace change. The next thing that he had to say is, eat 2 meals a day. That's really all you need. Now, nobody with diabetes is going to say, hey, I only eat 2 meals a day, that's all I need. But I think about a point that's being made there. I think this gentleman is saying, don't consume to excess. Get by with what you have, with what you need. You know, there's no sense in eating a whole box of cereal, downing 2 pizzas all by yourself, or drinking a whole 2-liter bottle of soda. Only eat 2 meals a day. It's really all you need. Next thing he shared, and I'm sorry, I'm a little bit shaky because it's cold. Next thing he had to share was, work as long as you can. That money's going to come in handy sometime. I think about this. This man probably worked well into his 80s, 90s, something like that. Now, not all of us aspire to work 80, 90 years, but the day that you stop having something to live for is the day that you start dying, in my opinion. Always be doing, always be working on something to better yourself, to better the world around you, whether you're working to earn money. I imagine this man probably left a chunk of change to his family members, his survivors. So, work as long as you can. That money, or in our case, those benefits, will come in handy. The last thing he said, well, there's a couple last things he said, but one of the last things he said is help others. The more you do to help others, the better shape you're in, and I couldn't agree more with this concept. I'm not a real religious person per se, but I consider myself a very spiritual person. And it's always been said, or it's been taught to me that, when you serve others, you serve God. And so I think about that. And I think about times in my life when I felt the most productive, or I've been the most happy, and that's been when I've been in the service of others, whoever that is, or whatever that looks like. Even something as simple as taking the time to say hello to somebody or give them a smile. Anyways, more knowledge from Walter Bruning. Help others. The more you do for others, the better shape you're in. Finally, the one thing he talked about, and this is a lesson that he learned from his grandfather, was accept death. He says, we're going to die. Some people are scared of dying, but never be afraid to die, because you're really born to die. Well, I don't know. Maybe I'll take a little bit of exception with that. But that is the one certainty that we have in life, is that not a single one of us are going to get out of this thing alive. So, what that says to me, knowledge from this very wise man, is make the most of every day. Make the most of the time that you have, because eventually we're all going to die. So while we're here and while we're alive, make the best of your life that you possibly can. So those are my cold thoughts that I wanted to share with you today. Thank you, Walter, for taking the time to share that with the Associated Press, and touching, I'm sure this man touched many lives in his 114 years. So again, my friends, here's someone that chose destiny over disease. If he figured out a way to live 114 years, he might have had a thing or two to say. I'll post a link to this man's story so you can read a little bit more on this. But again, disease or destiny, it's your choice.